Hey, what's going on, guys? Komagikinzi here. In this video I'm going to be adding a drag and drop feature to Harm-Gert Muller's chess variant. So a little story before we start. So today I've published my JavaScript chessboard library at Talk Chess Forum, and quite surprisingly Mr. Muller actually seems like he liked my library, and in return he has shared his own work on this sort of a chess variant. Unfortunately, I'm total noob in chess variants. I have no idea about how they work and all this stuff. But anyway, let me first try to demonstrate the issue he was mentioning regarding his project. Then I'll say what he loved, what kind of feature he loved in my own project, and then we'll go writing some code in order to alter Mr. Muller's code to add drag and drop feature into his chess variants. If you're excited, let's actually start. So we'll start with the chess variant. So you can move pieces by double click, right? Or also by drag and drop. But if you using drag and drop, it actually doesn't animate the piece. So that's kind of something that Mr. Muller actually wanted to change. And when he saw my library, which is available here, I'll give you a link in the description below this video. We have a feature that we can actually drag and drop pieces and they are getting animated at the same time. So this is the exact behavior that we would have been embedding into this chess variant. And now, before we start diving into the code, just a few words regarding how it works. So here we have images as background image attribute of table data cell of the HTML table. And here we have actually the actual image tags that are kind of children or inner HTML of the table data tag. So that's kind of the difference. And that's the exact thing that was supposed to be altering within the source code. So Mr. Muller used some sort of a complicated trick and unknown way of embedding this fancy chess diagram into a Talk Chess forum itself, believe it or not, which is absolutely fascinating for me. But anyway, I really needed to obtain a local copy of his code in order to make it possible to alter the code, basically. So here I've grabbed a copy of his code. We have two files here. So game.js is actually the only JavaScript file for the entire chess variation, for the entire chess variant here. It's really lots of code. Fortunately, I have some experience working with Mr. Muller's code when I was working out his Micromax chess engine, which is the smallest chess program in existence. So I kind of got used to his style, especially when the variable's length is greater than one letter. It's far easier to understand of what's going on within the source code. But anyway, so we have these two files, and another file is called test.html. So here we need to import the JS file containing the game itself. Sorry for not using the original variant name. I just don't really remember how it is and what that means. But anyway, and this only div is somehow responsible for the view element, just to make it possible to see this within the browser. So these two lines of code are literally enough to see, and I'll just show you what was supposed to be seen locally. So here is the stuff basically, and here I'm running this chess variant locally. So from this moment, we can already close all of this unnecessary windows and focus on the job itself. So I just want to invoke my developer tools here. And if I have a look at, if I just inspect the element, we see that this is the table data tag, which is the part of the HTML table. And here we have the background image attribute, as I was mentioning before. And we have this URL to the remote PNG image of a current given pawn or king or whatever piece. So as far as I don't really have a local copy of images, I would be using this remote references when I would be altering the source code. So our goal, the very first task, is actually to get rid of this background image attribute, and instead we want to have we want to append a child element to every table data cell which contains a piece on it. So without further ado, let's actually try to make it. So I'm going to game.js, and here I've already found a function called display, and this is it. And this is what's going on here. So here is the line that actually says the background image, and this is probably from Mr. Muller's attempt to make this functionality to bring it to life, but he had some issues that were described in the thread that I was mentioning. So the very first thing to consider, I just want to comment this line out, and now we won't see any images, but still we can kind of play the game. So if we just have a look at the board state, so here are the pieces in their initial positions, and let's say that I just make a couple of moves here, and I just want to print the board again. And here I see that, something happening to the piece codes. I'm not sure, maybe that regards some virgin state of them or something like that. I'm not really sure what that means, but anyway, we see that the pieces, the internal board array has been changed, which means that actually the game is in progress here. But we don't see any pieces because we've dropped the background image attribute from there. So now before the place where we're supposed to be appending our image tag would be right over in here, but before we do that, I just want to first make some print some debugging stuff. So I just want to say console log and log this image. So let's have a look. So here we have the URLs being extracted for every time when we encounter a proper piece, an appropriate piece, a white pawn, this black lens, not sure, black can, I'm not sure what this means, probably the piece names for this variant, but anyway. So what we need to do, we need to say image source equals and then this sort of stuff. So let's actually try to make it. So the very first thing I would like to say here dot replace. We could have actually tried to alter the function returning this sort of a string, but that's a little bit too complicated and don't really want to dive into the code and try to change something that I don't fully understand. So instead I'll go for this little dirty hack here. So I just can say replace URL and open in parentheses with a simply source equals like this, and then I want to replace the closing parentheses with this closing this angle bracket here. So let's have a look what we got here. Okay, so we got the source attribute of the future image that we're supposed to be making. So now we can already say like if we just say here we say like image space, and it should give us a string for a legal image. And well, this looks quite pretty nicely. So let's try to embed this into the program. So let's get rid of this one. Okay, I'm sorry, not exactly like this, save. And now instead of this inner HTML, I paste what I've had here. And now, if I did everything correctly, it should draw the pieces again. But the difference is that from now on, pieces are no longer background images, but a child element of the TD or table data tag right over in here. And these pieces are already draggable, believe it or not. So this is the half of the entire job that we need to do. But there is still a difference between something that I did in my library and what we have in this charts variant. So if we just have a look how my library operates, one of the core features, as soon as we start dragging the piece, it actually disappears on a source square. While here, this doesn't really happen. So I'm dragging, but it doesn't disappear. It disappears only later on. Okay, so I want to make it disappearing as soon as I start dragging. In order to implement this, I need simply to add an on-drag start event handler. Well, normal people would create a callback function, but again, like, I want to minimize the changes within someone else's source code, so I would inline this stuff right over in here. So I can simply say on-drag start equals, and just to make sure that this event fires, I want to make a little alert here. So just it would, okay, so alert works, which means that we can actually handle this event properly. And now let me show another little trick. So I can say console.log. Let me get rid of this one. And here there is in order to get an access to the drag and drop event, we can say simply event, and then in order to work with the associated image, we need to say event.target, and this would be printing a particular DOM element, which is image in our case, in the console. So you see, like here, every time I'm dragging pieces, it gives me an image tag, which means that from now on we can change or add or alter whatever attribute here within this image. And we need to say the opacity property of the style to be equal to 0.0 to literally make it transparent. That's the way how we can provide this disappearing of the piece on the source square. So now I can simply say like event.target event.target.style.opacity equals to 0.0, and if I did everything correctly, it now should be it should disappear. Okay, and here we go. So we just drag, drop, and when we drag in the piece, it disappears from the source square. So if I just get rid of this console, it would be using the pre-cached images, so it should be working much faster. So you see, like well, I'm not sure how this piece actually moves, but yeah, it's not it's not my fault. I just don't know how to move these pieces. But anyway, the idea is that it actually probably allows to make illegal moves as well. Well, doesn't matter really. So we can also play it if I'm not mistaken. Not sure how exactly this is done, but let's make a move, and then I just make a move, and then I move. So it seems like the drag and drop is actually working properly. Well, it seems like he has just captured my queen. I'm not sure my king. I'm not sure if I have already lost. Well, anyway, so our initial goal was actually to make this drag and drop working, and now it works exactly the same way how it works in my JavaScript chessboard library. So this is it from my side, guys. I will now post this little update on Mr. Muller's code on Talk Chess forum, and hope for the best. I really want to have some sort of a feedback, because I didn't really face those issues that he has been describing in his original post. So maybe if he showed me how to reproduce that sort of an error, I would be able to find some sort of a solution for that on my side. So this is it from my side, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Until that time, and take care.